Good morning. It's Monday, June 22nd, and I want to recount a couple of things that happened this weekend. I'll start with the fiasco surrounding the firing of Jeff Berman, who was the head of the Southern District of New York Prosecutorial Office. On Friday, Bill Barr issues a statement that Jeff Berman had resigned. When Jeff Berman finds out about it, he says, "I did not resign. I am not leaving this office. I was appointed by the judges of the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York. I will step down when a presidentially appointed nominee is confirmed by the Senate." That's the statement he made, which means that Barr couldn't fire him because there's a quirk in the law, and since he was appointed by judges, Barr can't fire him, but the president can. So that's what happened. Barr goes back and he gets the president to fire him. Now, the president had originally said, "I'm not involved in this." But nevertheless, when Barr asked him to fire him, Berman was officially fired. So the question immediately pops into my mind is, why was this guy fired, especially so close to the election? Now, I recall that when President Trump took office, he got rid of a lot of prosecutors from a lot of different offices around the country, and then he filled those spots with the people that he wanted to fill. And I remember that the gentleman named Preet was the head of the Southern District Office, and they thought he was going to stay, but he got fired also. So there was a lot of turmoil in prosecutorial circles. But these prosecutors are supposed to be totally independent. They're not supposed to worry about somebody looking over their shoulder when they're doing their job. They're supposed to be apolitical. Their politics are not supposed to enter into the jobs that they have to do. They are supposed to be the head lawyers and prosecutors for this country around the country. And they are not supposed to have any external opinions beyond the facts of the case. So I don't know why they fired Berman, but I have a suspicion. Berman is investigated. He was instrumental in the conviction of several of Trump's buddies, Michael Cohen, Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not sure if he had anything to do with Roger Stone, but it came out of that office. And right now, he's in the middle of investigating Rudy Giuliani and his two cronies from the Ukraine thing, Parnas, and I forget the other guy's name. So he's been in the middle of a lot of tough things here. And the other question is, since I don't believe Bill Barr did this by himself, is why would Bill Barr get in the middle of this? Well, that's easy to answer. Bill Barr is a toady. He's a lackey. He does whatever the president wants. He's there to protect the president. He is not there to protect the United States of America. He is not an attorney general of the United States of America. So, on top of this, when the dust has settled and it's all done, Barr puts out a statement that Trump plans to nominate Jay Clayton, currently the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, to serve as the next United States attorney for the Southern District of New York. Now, I don't know anything about Jay Clayton. I assume he's a nice guy. I like to know what his qualifications are. So I went and looked, since he's a finance guy, right? What makes him qualified to be the lead prosecutor in the Southern District of New York? So this is what I found out about Clayton. He's been a security lawyer his whole life, a corporate lawyer. So he knows the ins and outs of the stock market. That's why he was appointed head of the Security and Exchange Commission. But he's not a litigator. He's not a prosecutor. He never had that. He's qualified because he knows Bill Barr. Bill Barr is a good friend of his. And he plays golf. Played golf with the president. That's his qualifications to take this job. And he readily admits that he's taking this job because he wants to learn how to litigate. It's about time he learned something about litigation. Now, is that the kind of guy that you want to hold the head office in the Southern District of New York? Apparently, that's what they want. They want a toady there. They want somebody who's going to do the president's bidding, and first thing, I'm sure when he gets into the office, he's going to close the cases against Giuliani and his cronies. So that's what we're faced with, right? But I got another subject. The thing I want to talk about is the campaign rally. I really was going to avoid this subject, but I can't. So the first thing that happens in a campaign rally is that 6 of the campaign workers come down, tested positive for the COVID-19. Second thing I know is I'm listening and Trump is saying, we had 1 million requests for tickets. Boy, this place is going to be mobbed. It's a mob scene. They show pictures in the street of people lined up in the rain. They're waiting. The first shot they show in the auditorium, the place is half empty. And even though it's half empty, they're not practicing social distancing. They got plenty of room for people there. They're all on top of one another. And most of them are not wearing a mask. And then they set aside an area outside to hold an estimated another 40,000 people. And Trump was going to go outside and talk to the people in what they call the overflow section. Well, I got news for you. The overflow section was empty too. So in my mind, this whole campaign thing was a big bust. He did not get the results he wanted. He certainly didn't get this picture that he wanted, because every time they panned the stadium, you saw the empty seats. And there were no yelling and screaming in those empty seats. There were no red hats there. And while he probably won't admit it, he probably pissed off also that he had to get involved in the firing of Jeff Berman, which happens in the afternoon before he's getting all set for this wonderful rally that didn't materialize. He was heard telling his cronies he doesn't understand why people are upset about the firing of Jeff Berman. He said he's entitled to fire anybody he wants. And that's true. He can fire anybody he wants. But that doesn't mean, as the President of the United States, you're not going to become under some kind of scrutiny. People will always question whatever you do. That's their prerogative. It's your prerogative to fire. It's their prerogative to check you out, to test you, to want to understand your thinking process, which I am very sure there's very few people that can understand his thinking process. Now, if I were him, I would be worried, because the people of Tulsa didn't show up. And the question that should be nagging him is, did they not show up because of the virus? Or did they not show up because they're finally fed up with his actions and the way he's running this country? And I'll leave you with that thought. And I'll see you tomorrow in the morning. Bye.